Yeah, it was interesting because like when it come to the conversation surrounding this fight, the only whilst a lot of people that I've spoke to seem to lean towards Eubank Jr. They do worry about the rehydration clause and how that will affect him. So you want to know when that rehydration has to take place. So I thought that was a key question to ask. And yeah, no, I think Ben did want to get that information out, although not precisely the time in which it was gonna take place. I guess, he couldn't reveal that, but he could reveal that it was happening in the morning as opposed to happening later on in the day, which would impact the time in which Chris Eubank Jr. would have to rehydrate those 10 pounds or more, well, or more if he plans to do so. So I can confirm from a source further to that, as I put out on Twitter, that it's whilst it's in the morning, it will take place no later than 10 a.m. as well too. So he has all that time from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. when I guess the fight does take place to rehydrate appropriately to the 170 limit. So yeah, I think Josh Hart then did ask Eddie Hearn for his reaction to that, because Ben did say that it was contested. So that meant that the other side, at least from Ben's point of view, wanted a different time. And Eddie Hearn said, I think he cleared that up, that no, they were happy to go with what the usual second day weigh-in would be, although the other side had contested and they wanted it maybe at midnight of the day of the fight. So they obviously went back and forth on that and then settled on early in the morning. So yeah, no, I think what that does is when it comes to the breakdown of the fight, that allows people, pundits, fans to really get a grasp on what that clause is going to do and what impact it will have on Eubank Jr. And that will mean that they can kind of make their predictions a bit more readily available, because we didn't know when that was going to happen. So I kind of feel like that was something that needed to be asked and get the answer to. And it doesn't quite change how I thought the fight would go too much, because I still think Eubank Jr. will win the fight, but I think it's a pertinent point. And I wonder how the fans feel knowing that Eubank Jr. has a lot more time than maybe they might have thought to rehydrate.
Zambanu Love talking about the TKO incursion into boxing says IFL would collapse. Well, there you go. There's a positive from our point of view. Their content is mainly around the drama and politics, not the fights. Vincete Valente says Frank and Eddie worried. Hot Video says hit the like button. Thanks, Hot Video. Everybody hit the like button. It helps the channel. Brilliant. You know what else helps the channel, Hot Video? Subscribing. So please, everyone, subscribe if you're not already a subscriber and vote in our poll. Big Dosser says, I had no idea Kel and Ebony were an item, but then again, neither did they. Funny story about that. So Kel Brook randomly video called me about 2.5 years ago from Spain. It's not going where you think it is. And he said, I've got someone here who wants to speak to you. And out of the background, like a avenging angel, came Ebony Bridges. And just had a go at me generally because I'm always criticising her. Or I was back in the day. And yeah, so I knew back then that they had become, an item. Do people still say that anymore? It sounds very Neighbours and Home and Away. But yeah, so congratulations to Kel Brook and Ebony Bridges on the birth of their first child together. Bully Boxer says Eubank's going to stop Ben badly, as opposed to what? Stopping him gently? No, I can't read that, Big Dosser, sorry. Bully Boxer says, you don't know what to believe these days. No, can't read that one either. Please stop talking about Kel Brook and Ebony Bridges. We've congratulated them now, but a lot of your comments can't be read out for, good taste and defamatory reasons. Schultz X says, get your excuses in for Eubank. Laughing my ass off. Ben going to do him good. And Secret Dance moved back on the TKO topic. Says, Frank is not worried at all. As I said before, he just signed a big DAZN contract. I assume you mean Frank Warren and not Modfather Frank, because I think Modfather Frank is a little bit worried from his comment earlier. But yeah, so Eubank Ben, it's an interesting one because he does look so much bigger already. Now he can rehydrate, probably back up to roughly what he normally weighs in the ring anyway. And I saw Eddie Hearn said that they wanted it to be midnight of the weigh-in day. I don't know how much we can believe that. I suppose if you're a boxer and you're negotiating, you're going to try and get everything you can. And the earlier you can start refilling your tank, if you like, the better. How much, Eamon, because this is the key thing here, how much do you think size will be the deciding or defining factor in this fight?
Yeah, no, I think it's a real big factor in the fight. Uh, it's hard to say because it's not hard to say. It's more just like when you talk about a fight, you kind of get into the styles of the two fighters and things. And we're not talking about the best of the best with respect to both fighters. Conor Benn does have a quick, powerful style, but one that fizzles out after kind of the fourth and fifth round. Eubank Jr., we know what Eubank Jr. is like. He's looking to try and set up that knockout. He might play with his food a little bit, but he does look to get that knockout and carries power throughout a fight. But as I guess his feet's a little bit more stuck in the mud than they were a few years back. But he's crude in terms of what he does, and that is just looking to get the fight finished and over with. And it's not, for me, it's not really a discussion about those two clash of styles. It's more about because Conor Benn is coming up from, yes, super welterweight and not welterweight, but he has been for the majority of his career a welterweight. So if you want to say it's coming up from welterweight or super welterweight, he's going up to middleweight where he hasn't been against someone who is a fully fledged middleweight who does rehydrate to, in his own words, 14 pounds further. Will be allowed to rehydrate to 10 pounds on the second day and has a clause in his contract where he will be penalized for every pound that he's over by a certain amount. Doesn't mean that he just has to particularly adhere to that. If he wants to let go an amount of money for an extra pound or two, he can do. So you're talking about a fight who we don't, I'm not too sure if it's on record as to what Conor Benn usually weighs in on fight nights. That's something to ask about. But if we take it as Conor Benn rehydrates or hydrates to around 160, he's in against someone who's going to be 170 pounds or more, around probably the 170 mark. So you're looking at a 10 pounds difference there in fighter, and that can mean a lot. That can mean a lot for the Conor Benn perspective in terms of what he's taking, the strength of the shots, or the power of the shots, and what it might mean in the stretch of the fight. And it can also mean a lot for Eubank Jr. because he's got those 10 pounds, but what about the extra 4 that he usually has as comfort, and how he's going to hydrate in amongst that period after the morning, because he's got to get that right, and he'll have a team to get that right for him, but it doesn't always equate to the best of performances because you've taken out so much in your body. So it's that reason, the weight that plays with the scales of where the fight's going to go, as opposed to the actual fight styles of the two fighters. So I think we'll hear from either fighter post-fight that, look, this guy was a bit too big for me and I dared to be great and I had to for my name and I couldn't beat Eubank Jr. Or we're going to hear, look, those 4 pounds are a bit too much for me, took too much out of me, didn't have it on the night, and that's why Conor Benn beat me. That's how I see the fight playing out, and I think weight will be the reason as to why either fighter has lost or won.
Interesting. C Lover 63 says Conor Hen can't punch for toffee ever since he got caught. What do you mean, C Lover 63? Caught with a punch, perhaps? Which fight? Let us know. Jack Swagger agrees with Eamon. Eubank going to smash him. Jack Dutton, how is Dana White planning to change world boxing? Sorry if I'm a bit slow. I mean, I wouldn't say that about you, Jack Dutton. Not to your face, anyway. But yeah, Dana White is planning to change world boxing by making it into a UFC type model with 1 belt per division and the best fighting the best. That's the press release version, anyway. John Wick says, did you ever find out what's happening with Josh Kelly? I've been on the edge of my seat for a week, and give Eamon a hug when you see him. He sounds unappreciated. I didn't. So you know what I'm going to do, John Wick? I'm going to text Josh Kelly right now. There's no guarantee he'll reply. I mean, Billy Nelson did when I texted him on a live before, which was great. I don't know if he will. What should I say? I'll do it as a voice note so you can all hear me. Hi, Josh. Hope you're well, mate. I'm currently on our weekly live show here with everyone in the chat. And John Wick, who's one of our fans, I don't know if that's his real name, probably not. He asked what's happening with you when you're next fighting. So he's obviously a big fan. If you get this in time, we'll probably be on for another 20 minutes, half an hour. Let us know. But yeah, we're all waiting with bated breath. So there you go. That was a genuine voice note to what I hope is still Josh Kelly's genuine number. Jack Swagger says Bent has a puncher's chance. Chris Algieri. Jack Dutton says Turkey is already employing a kind of UFC model by matching the best against the best. Yeah, but maybe that's why he's kind of, delegating the flag. to the man best place to handle it, or whatever it was he said. Bully Boxer says, I just think that Eubank will be too big, too strong, like Carl Froch. He wouldn't let anyone egg him. And Conor, as much as I love watching his dad, hasn't been the same since we can't really say came off that, Bully Boxer. We can say since his adverse finding on his drug test. No, Mr. B, we can't really read that as well without getting sued. Jack Dutton says, Kelly wasn't that good on the undercard of Crawford Madrimov. Yeah, but didn't he faced a very short notice opponent, didn't he, in Ishmael Davis, who's no bad fighter, as we saw against Bochuk as well. DB Coupon says, Flex and Loki always flexing his phone book. Well, I've got to live up to the name, haven't I? We get it, Geezer. You're a proper big timer, ain't you? I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think that I wouldn't be using, and no disrespect to either of them, but I wouldn't be using Josh Kelly and Billy Nelson if I wanted to make it a proper flex. John Wick says, legend. Doesn't mean we're going to get a response. Only got one tick so far on WhatsApp, John Wick, so I wouldn't hold your hopes out on that one. So where were we? Yeah, Eubank Ben, I think size will be quite a big factor in it. I think when we've seen Conor Benn, and you can make whatever reasons you want with the test and so on, but when we've seen him up at 154, he hasn't looked, it's not that he hasn't looked as big a puncher, but he hasn't looked able to hurt the bigger men that he's been fighting against at that weight. So going up even further to 160 against someone who's fought at 160 and 168, assuming Chris Eubank Jr. can still make 160 safely and strongly, I think he'll be very durable. We've only seen him, and this was when he didn't make the weight very well, we've only seen him seriously hurt once, and that was the stoppage loss to Liam Smith in their first fight. So you've got to imagine that if we get the Eubank of old, it's going to be very difficult for Conor Benn to put a dent in him. You know, if Conor Benn's going to win that fight, he's going to have to outwork him, pressure fight, and win on points or even a late stoppage, just a cumulative punishment. So I don't know. I mean, I think size will play a big factor. And also, if Eubank uses his height and reach advantages as well, you know, keeps moving his feet, keeps Conor at the end of the jab for large parts of the fight, dropping that right hand in as he comes inside, landing the uppercut as Conor looks to target the body. I think size could be quite a significant factor.